Welcome to our weekday reflection this Wednesday, the 13th of May. And I'm reading for our reflection today from Mark's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 3. While he, that is Jesus, was in Bethany, reclining at the table in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. "Leave her alone," Jesus said. "Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help them any time you want, but you will not always have me. She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare for my burial. Truly I tell you, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." I always think one of the great things about television sport is instant replay. If you missed it the first time, you get to see it again, often in slow motion, so you can analyse every single second. And wouldn't it be great if life was sometimes like that? That we were given a second chance to wind events back and to experience things a second time, perhaps even in slow motion, to really appreciate what we had before it was gone, perhaps even to do things slightly differently. But of course that's not possible, is it? I came across an article written by a woman named Anne Wells, which I'd like to share. And she writes the following. "My brother-in-law opened the bottom drawer of my sister's dresser and took out a package. It was an exquisite silk slip. The price tag was still attached. My sister never wore it. She said that she was keeping it for a special occasion. I guess this was the occasion. My brother-in-law laid the slip on the bed with the other clothes that we were taking to the funeral home. Suddenly my brother-in-law slammed the drawer shut and turned to me and said, 'Don't ever save anything for a special occasion. Every day is a special occasion.' Those words changed my life. I'm not saving anymore. Now I use the good china and crystal for every occasion. Someday, or one of these days, are phrases that I have removed from my vocabulary. If it's worth seeing, hearing, or doing, I want to do it now. I'm trying hard not to put off, hold back, or save anything that would add laughter or luster to my life. Every morning when I open my eyes, I tell myself, today is special." Anne's words certainly leave us with something to think about. You know, the Apostle Paul, writing to the Corinthian church, 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 2 says, "Now is the time. Now is the day of your salvation. Don't hold back waiting for the future. Now is the opportunity. Seize the day." And I wonder if you had the opportunity to do it all over again, what you would do differently. Would you appreciate the moment that you had more? Would you hold back less? Would you spend more time with the children? Would you get angry over little things less often? Would you laugh and cry less watching television and more actually living and experiencing life? Seize the moment and don't give 1 minute back until it's all spent. Don't hold on to the alabaster jar filled with expensive perfume. Break open the alabaster jar of love and pour it out so that the sweet fragrance of the perfume, the sweet fragrance of your love and generosity may fill the lives of those around you. Those words, perhaps you've been meaning to say to someone but you've held back saying. Say now while you have the opportunity, while there are ears to hear and hearts open to receive. Those flowers perhaps you're meaning to send to someone, send while there's an opportunity for them to appreciate. You know, what is amazing, I think, about this particular story is that when the woman came and broke the alabaster jar open and anointed Jesus' feet, those around her, we're told, were indignant. It could have been sold, year's wages, and the money given to the poor. You know, there are two simple points, I think, for me that come out of this text. And first is that we often miss the very point of generosity. It's like the parable of the labourers in the field, that some worked the whole day, some worked half day, some worked only an hour. And at the end of the day, the owner paid each of them the same wage, a day's wage. Those who worked the full day didn't miss out. And yet they were indignant and angry because they thought that they ought to be paid more. And they missed the very point of the owner's generosity, that a day's wages was sufficient for that person to provide for themselves and their family for that day. And yet we often miss generosity. We often miss the fact and the very point that generosity isn't about what is earned or what is deserved. It's not about entitlement. It's a free gift. And the second thing that I think we often fail to understand is that our lack of generosity, or our indignant response to other people's generosity, is often driven by selfish motives. Like the labourers in the field, we often look at those around us and think that we've worked harder than they have, and therefore we are entitled to more. And we have this entitlement mindset. We almost resent those who earn as much as us, or perhaps more, that we feel don't work as hard. We criticise people like the woman who anointed Jesus' head because of their lavish lifestyle. They seem to be pouring out this expensive perfume. Who can afford that? It's a year's wage. But it's often out of envy and out of a desire to have for ourselves. And the irony, I think, in this particular story is that later in this very evening, Judas was to put in motion the very various wheels, the very wheels that were to lead to Jesus' arrest, trial, and crucifixion. The opportunity to show love and gratitude towards Jesus was actually running out. And I wonder how this woman would have felt had she not seized the moment, taken the opportunity to express her love and gratitude to Jesus, because shortly later he was to be killed. Ironically, we spend great fortunes engraving words on granite and marble headstones to put above a grave of a loved one. Often we engrave words that perhaps should have been spoken while they were still alive and engraven in their heart. And later in this text, we read that Joseph of Arimathea brought 100 pounds of the same costly ointment to anoint Jesus' dead body. And no one criticised or questioned Joseph's post-mortem generosity. See, we can pour out a fortune on the dead and resent a smaller portion being spent on the living. This woman didn't wait until Jesus was dead to express her gratitude. She responded while she had opportunity, provoking in return this response from Jesus. Wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. There are no instant replays in life. There are no second opportunities. There's no going back and doing it again or doing it differently. Now is the time. if you have an alabaster jar that you've been thinking about breaking open for some time, then today may be that time. That one act of kindness, while you have the opportunity, while there are still people around you to appreciate and enjoy what you have to offer, is worth 100 times such acts once they are gone. Now is the time to act in a way that will be forever remembered. And so I encourage you, seize the day, make the most of every opportunity, and pour out your love and generosity to those around you, that you may fill their lives with the sweet fragrance of your generosity. May you be a blessing to others this day, and indeed be blessed.